Any health-related information on the following show provides general information only. Content presented on any show by any host or guest should not be substituted for a doctor's advice. Always consult your physician before beginning any new diet, exercise, or treatment program.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Inspired and Empowered Living TV show. Are you ready to live an inspired and empowered life? Today, we will be talking about reducing relationship stress, part 3, reducing it during the holiday season. We'll continue where we left off last week. You can learn the 3 principles of how to boost your self-care and be more centered and calmer during the holidays. How to deal more effectively with difficult people and discover the number one mistake that would keep you from having healthier relationships. You can ask questions and make comments in the chat room. Good morning, all. Good morning, Marie. And together, let's create a life we love. We are live on Tuesdays, 11 a.m. Eastern, on w4wn.com and talk4tv.com. And you can find us podcasts on iHeartRadio. I'm your host, Nanci Deutsch, licensed clinical social worker and intuitive breakthrough expert. And I combine my counseling, coaching, and intuitive abilities to inspire and empower women to transform their personal and professional lives. So glad that you're joining us. And today we're going to continue where we've left off, like I said. And last week, we talked about, I'm going to review the last 2 principles that we talked about and continue talking about where we left off. So the first principle that is really important for you to remember during the holidays and all year through, because these principles are not only for the holiday season, they are for working for you, for your relationships the whole year through. And really, this is about getting a better relationship with yourself. That self-care is crucial all year round, not just during the holidays, but the whole year through. And it's about upping it during stressful times of the year. Like for some of you, holiday seasons can be really stressful. Some of you love it. And even when we love something, we could still have more stress around it. So this is about learning how to have better self-care and doing what you need to keep moving forward. So the first principle is learn how to release extra stress certain relationships may be causing you. So during that show, we talked about, and you can always find past shows on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, on talk4tv.com YouTube channel. You can find past shows on iHeart, Spotify, Pandora, and Apple. So you can go back anytime you need to. And we talked about what happens during relationships, why issues arise, and what you need to do to clear your energy to release the stress. Your self-care is about not changing someone else. You can't. And the more you want to, the more you try, the more you will be stressed out. It's more about learning to change yourself and change what you can change and what you choose. We talked a lot about the word choice. And so that was the first principle. The second principle was all about clearing and connecting, making that deeper level of clearing. Because when you want to clear and you want to have better relationships and you want to have better self-care, you need to clear your energy and then connect more deeply to yourself. Good morning. Good morning, Allie. And so it's really important to have those principles in place. And the number one thing that would keep you from having healthier relationships, the biggest mistake you can make is not to do your clearing work and your connecting. Because the bottom line is your relationships are a reflection of you. Now, not saying that when you have that annoying relative, they may not necessarily be your immediate reflection. They may be deep down in your subconscious mind. And to just make sure that everybody's on the same page, I'll do my quick Psych 101. Our conscious mind is you choosing to tune in. Thank you for joining. And the subconscious mind is the part of you from the moment you were conceived to present time that has recorded everything that has happened for you, every moment in your life, including past lives and ancestral trauma. And so all of that energy, all those limiting beliefs and emotions are in your subconscious mind. And so that's why that clearing is really crucial. It's digging deep into what's going on in your subconscious mind, because you can't control, like I said, anybody else, but you can start working on your issues and your trauma and the things that keep you from having better, healthier relationships. And then when you have an uncle or an aunt or a family member of some kind that really triggers and pushes your buttons, then you can not take it on. So your job is not, you can't change them. You don't take it on. And I also talked during the first show about the shadow self, which is the parts of us that we may not want to look at, we may want to deny, we may not want to own. But that's where the clearing comes in, because it's learning how to understand why those parts are there. If there is something. Now, it may not be necessarily, it could be something in your ancestral line. So it could be a relative who's showing you something that needs to be cleared. That's a shadow part. So know that every person in your family is an opportunity, either to open to more love or to open to more healing. Those that challenge us. Those that challenge us are our greatest teachers and opportunities for healing. Remember that. When you get and you start under your breath, you can remember, oh, they're providing me an opportunity. That's usually your conscious mind, an opportunity for healing. That's what I support you in remembering. And so some factors that I talked about last week to be able to do that better self-care. That was from helporg.com. And that ability to handle your emotions, the ability to have more of a sense of control. So what can you do to take your control or your power back? And examples that I talked about is reducing your time around annoying relatives, or setting boundaries. How long are you going to be at relatives' houses? Or if necessary, not going to a function because it's not healthy or good for you. Boundaries, boundaries, boundaries. And attitude and outlook. So are you an optimist with the glass half full, or a pessimist, glass half empty? And so if you're a pessimist with the glass half empty, what I invite you to think about is, what can you do to make the glass half full? So those of you in the chat, what do you do to help you go from maybe a pessimist outlook to an optimistic outlook? So if you would like to share that in the chat, we'd love to hear. What do you do to go from that pessimist place to the optimist, the glass half full? And then another thing we talked about last week was sense of humor. Really important. We need to learn how to laugh at ourselves, and to laugh and find humor in life, humor in situations, and find the ways to laugh and have fun and enjoy. Really important. Really important. One of the things that I learned, I do soul work. I love my soul work, soul adventures. I do different kinds of things with the soul. And when I've worked with many souls, so many of the souls say to find your joy. So I'm reminding you today to find your joy. What inspires you? What brings you so much fun and play? What brings out that little kid in you? Find your joy. That's what your soul wants for you. And find the laughing. And then having information and being prepared. So you want to make sure that you're prepared and you're able to have fun, or you're prepared with seating arrangements. If you're hosting it, if you're going to somebody, you want to make sure you can ask the host who you want to sit next to. So be prepared and ask for help and support. It's also really important to have a good support system. And this is really important the whole year through, especially around holiday times. So are you doing what you need to do to reach out for support? If you have trauma that is affecting you and you're having trouble coping day to day, then you need a therapist and a counselor. And you can go on different sites like Psychology Today or Better Help. There's a few of them. And you can Google counseling online, virtual counseling, if you need a therapist. And I really want to support you. Having a therapist to help you move through trauma is really important. And then there's coaches. And coaches are the ones that can really help you to move forward. You may still need to clear some trauma, but you're moving forward. You have a vision of where you want to go, or you may not even have the vision yet, but you're ready. On some level, you can feel that energy, and that's where a coach comes in. And that's why I love doing coaching work, is being that intuitive coach for women to help transform their personal and professional lives. So if you want a coach, you can go to my website, nancid.me, nancid.me. And That is one of the ways. And then there are support groups. Now, there are 12-step programs. There are 12-step programs for many, many things. And there are 12-step programs. There's AA and gamblers and nicotine and narcotics. All of these are really important 12-step programs that can help you have a better life. There's Emotions Anonymous. There's Coda Dependence Anonymous. And then there's also other kinds of support groups, like bereavement support groups. Like if you've lost a loved one, there's grief support groups. There's divorce and separated support groups. So there are so many different support groups. So I support you. If you need support, look into a support group. And Marie has something. Marie says, I am the eternal optimist, but on those days when it's a bit harder, I remind myself of everything I have to be grateful for. And I go within to really feel that feeling of gratitude. Thank you, Marie. Thank you. And that is something that definitely gratitude is a way to go from that pessimistic place to the optimistic. So it's really looking at, what do you have to be grateful? What do you have to be grateful for? If you have a roof over your head and you're listening to this in some way, or you're viewing this, there are many things that you have to be grateful for, that you can choose. Now, remember, this is a choice. And I support you in making a choice to learn how to be grateful. And that can be a process in and of itself, learning the gratitude, finding the things to be grateful for, family, for friends, for you. What are you grateful? And now I know a lot of clients can be challenged by this. And so I challenge you to this. What are you grateful for about you? What can you claim that you are really grateful for? I'll start with me. I am grateful that I am able to be here and do this TV show, this podcast. I'm grateful that I live where I live. And I am grateful to all of you who are here to support me, whether you're listening or viewing live, or you're listening to the podcast, or viewing YouTube at a later time. I'm grateful to you. And I support you in thinking, what are you grateful for? And what about yourself? And now there's a real distinction that I really want to support you in making. When you are grateful for your strengths, and every single one of us has our strengths. And one of the biggest things that we can do for our self-care is learn how to honor and be grateful for our strengths. And being grateful for your strengths doesn't mean you're being boastful. It doesn't mean you're being selfish or self-centered or narcissistic. In fact, to me, someone who is narcissistic or has those tendencies inside, they most likely are pretty empty, or they don't feel good enough, or they need to boast in order to feel good enough. And they may have learned to be entitled, but they're looking outside themselves, not inside in their heart. And when you come from that heart place and you're grateful for you, that is a life-changing experience. Whether you're doing it now, during the holidays, for the new year, or throughout the whole year. It's really, really, I support you so much in doing that. And I would love to hear if any of you in the chat room want to share your strengths, if it feels comfortable. And I will tell you that it takes courage to share your strengths. I'll share another strength. One of my strengths is because I'm good at connecting. I'm good at engaging. I'm a great listener. And that's why I'm great at my profession, counseling and coaching. And that is also something to realize, that your strengths that you're grateful for are also what makes you great, good at your job, at your mission, at your purpose, whatever you're doing. All of it is part of having that gratitude to yourself and for yourself. I just really want to support you because that's really important self-care. So, number three principle, talking about gratitude. All right, we're talking about gratitude. So this is a perfect segue into the third principle. The third principle is finding the best in people and acknowledging yourself and them for it. Be grateful and say thank you. I didn't make this up. I had planned this, and Marie that's what synchronicity is all about. And that's really, and also what it's about is that it's a universal principle. Gratitude is huge. And what we focus on, another universal principle, is what we focus on expands. So when you're grateful, it expands and it helps you to see things in a more positive way. And so when you are in a relationship, and I'm including the relationship with yourself, because the relationship with yourself is actually the most important relationship of all. Your relationship with yourself and your relationship with God or higher power or the universe. Because from that relationship, all other relationships evolve, unfold. And so the better relationship you have with yourself, and the more grateful you can be for your strengths, the more that you can allow yourself to really look and really acknowledge other people's gifts to you and with you. Really being grateful for who they are in your life, how they're showing up. Now, if you're being challenged by a relationship, whether it's a spouse or a partner or a friend, and you're being challenged, I challenge you to find what you're grateful for in them. What is it? Why did you come together in the first place? Whether if it's your partner, your husband, spouse, what made you fall in love? What was it that you loved about them? To remember those things. And if it's a really good friend or the people in your life, what do you love about them? It's really important for us to remember to acknowledge those that we love, to appreciate the people in our lives. And the more that we acknowledge and are grateful for them, the more they want to be there for us and help us and support us. But we're not acknowledging them and being grateful because of what they can do for us, but really to share our love. And when you share your love, your energy expands. That is amazing self-care. Amazing self-care. Now, Marie says, thank you, Marie. I am grateful for my sense of humor. I am grateful for being kind. I am grateful for being a good listener. I am grateful for being compassionate. I am grateful for really feeling grateful. So, Marie, thank you for that example. That was a beautiful example of a paragraph of the things that you're grateful for. So, thank you so much, Marie. I am grateful for you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you, and I appreciate Allie, and I appreciate all of you that are listening live or at a later date or viewing. And that was a perfect example of listing your qualities of what you're grateful for. And I want to remind you, it's not this listing the qualities that you're grateful for, listing your strengths is not, it's a positive thing. It's a really important thing. It helps you with your self-esteem. It helps you with your confidence. Really important. And so, really knowing that being grateful is a crucial thing. Now, some things to remember to reduce stress during the holidays. One of the things, and this is for the holidays and the whole year through, to remember what another person does is not, in capital letters, about you. One of the biggest things that I see with clients again and again and again is they feel, they believe, they think that it's all about them. And what I want to remind you is that it's not. You have your stuff and they have their stuff. And one of the things for self-care is learning what's yours and what's theirs. We'll take Lucy, for example. And Lucy, when she came to me, she was always so self-conscious, and she was always thinking that she did something wrong. And she was so nervous and so scared that there was something wrong with her. She made a mistake. She did something wrong. And as we worked together and started healing those wounds and helping her get really clear, like, for example, with her husband, Sal. And when she got clarity, she realized Sal's going to do what Sal's going to do. She can't control what he does. Now, she can speak her truth and learn to communicate in healthy, appropriate ways, but she's not going to be able to control Sal. So she started to learn that it wasn't about her. It was about him, or it was about them, the relative, or it was about the friend or the acquaintance. I mean, she was the kind of person that she would go to the supermarket, and if something happened, she would think that she did something wrong. And it wasn't about her at all. And the majority of times, it's not about you at all. It's about the other person. Now, here's the thing, and this is a really important, this is a very fine point here. It's about knowing that it's usually the other person, but there are times when you trigger another person, and it's always going to be about what you're triggering them. That's their stuff. If you're triggering another person, that's their stuff. However, when you're in an intimate relationship, or when there are certain behaviors that you are hearing from people time and again, And hopefully it's in healthy, appropriate ways you're hearing that there are certain behaviors you may want to take a look at. Now, yes, ultimately, how they react to you is on them. It is their issue. The only fine line is also to look at what's yours. And that's really important in relationships, is learning what's yours and what's theirs. Like, for example, with Lucy, what she realized was that there were times she would kind of poke the bear. She would poke Sal or do something that on a subconscious level, remember this was subconscious, below the surface, she would do something to get a reaction from him. And she got a reaction from him. And so what she learned was, if instead of poking the bear, learn how to communicate in a healthy way. And when she learned how to communicate in a healthy way, their relationship transformed. And Sal began hearing her. Now, he wasn't always willing to change his behavior. Sometimes he was able to. Sometimes he has to be willing to for himself. But it's more likely you will be heard when you communicate with I language. I am feeling when such and such happened, or when this happened, the behavior. You want to tease out the behavior when you're approaching someone. Now, if it's a holiday gathering and you have an issue with someone, what I would support you in doing is perhaps going back to a later time. Maybe scheduling a time for you to connect with the person. Suppose it's a sibling or a parent or a child, an adult child. And during the holiday, you may want to just have fun and forget the issue. And yet you know there's the elephant, the pink elephant in the room. And so you can make a choice and say, let's schedule a time after the holidays to have a real heart-to-heart talk. And that is somebody when you can communicate with them in a healthy way. And even if you're not sure, I support you. Now, if someone is a really abusive person, then you may not be able to. Then it's about taking care of yourself. And I'm going to talk about that very shortly. One of the things that I really want to support you in remembering is you can't change another person. And I know I said this before, but it's really important to remember we can't change someone else. We can only change ourselves. And that's your self-care, is learning to remember that. Because if you can remember it's not about you and you can't change the other person, that will take a lot of stress off you. That will actually be really self-care for you. Because when you do that, you are actually helping yourself to really breathe and relax and know if you're taking care of yourself, if you're working on yourself, if you're doing what you need to do to take care of you, that's all you can do. The rest is their stuff. And it's learning to distinguish. So, and really having the boundaries. I mean, the boundaries are so crucial. Having those boundaries, because without boundaries, there is no self-care. We need to learn how to set limits with ourselves and with others. So limits with on holidays is stopping when you're full instead of overdoing it. That could be sometimes I'm not saying it's an easy, because we have habits of overdoing it. But it's learning to listen to your body and then learning to listen to yourself. And really, those boundaries, when you discover where your limits are, like how long do you want to stay? We talked about this last week. How long do you want to stay at a holiday gathering? Or even if it's during the rest of the year, how long do you want to stay? What feels comfortable to you? What's your self-care? What do you need to do before? I talked about before even going into a gathering, to ground yourself, to breathe, to allow yourself to feel more calm and centered, because the more calm and centered you feel, the more you will be able to take care of yourself. Really important. Boundaries, boundaries, boundaries. So, how do you deal with that difficult person? And the difficult person very often is a bully. If they are abusive, they're a bully, a controller, a competitor, they're a manipulator. They may be, and could be all year round. They could be a coworker, a relative, a boss. Any relationship, you can use these guidelines for any relationship that challenge you. First of all, when we're talking about a bully, you want to find a way to keep yourself safe. Now, if you are concerned about your physical danger, you need to get yourself physically safe. Priority. Leave the house, have an escape plan, do what you need to do to physically take care of yourself. Now, if the bully is an emotional abuser or a rager, which is also emotional abuse. And when I say a rager, is someone who's screaming and yelling or cursing or out of control with their anger, it becomes rage. That is emotionally unsafe. And so you want to find a way to take care of yourself in the face of that. And so what you would do is, you first of all, you can ask that person to quiet down or calm down. And if they don't, you'll leave the room or hang up the phone if it's a phone call. If they don't, and it's very likely, I will tell you, because I've dealt with rages before, if they're in the middle of a rage, they probably won't be hearing you. And so, but it's important, you can try the approach of speaking that truth first. And then if that doesn't work, then you're going to leave. I'm hanging up the phone. I'm leaving the room. I'm leaving the house. You do what you need to do to take care of you. Now, if it's someone you're very close to, what I do when I coach women or when I coach couples is, if you're both angry at each other, the last thing you want to do is confront each other when you're both in a rage or angry at each other. You want to wait till you're calm enough to be able to communicate. So take a time out. Wait till you process through and understand what's triggering you. What are you reacting to? So, and one of the things that's real, this is really crucial. You do not want to engage a rager, because when you engage them, and what I mean is you talk back, you fight back, you do it escalates. It escalates the confrontation. And the most important thing you can do is to keep calm, cool, collected. Learning how to let it just kind of roll off your back is one of the things that you can do to take care of yourself. Again, another one is to leave. So there are different ways to handle it. Whatever you need. Like one of the things that is really powerful to learn, and this is about learning to become more connected with your higher self, this wise, unconditionally part of you, or your soul. As you become more connected, then you're able to stay calm no matter what's going on around you. That's a powerful place to get to. And we're all on the journey. So again, this is about you doing what you need to do to take care of yourself. And I also want to support you in knowing that I have a masterclass coming up, because it's all about making that deeper connection. And during my masterclass, we are going to help you connect more deeply to who you are and your inner wisdom, so that you can make the best business decisions. So it's 3 keys to elevate your business with the intuition advantage system. That's the system I developed. And you can go, it starts tomorrow. So it starts tomorrow, November 30th to December 2nd. You go to inspiredandempoweredliving.com/masterclass. That's inspiredandempoweredliving.com/masterclass. And during the masterclass, we're going to help you do clearing and getting to understand clearing. You'll have personal connection with me. I would love to see you there. Join us if you can. Being able to learn how to clear your limiting beliefs and emotions, your money and success blocks, how to connect with your inner wisdom to make the best decisions and best business decisions, and to be able to gain the confidence so that you up-level your intuition, income, and impact. Again, inspiredandempoweredliving.com/masterclass. So back to what I was saying. And you can also learn to change the dynamic with this person. Changing the dynamic to help you feel calmer. And you can change the dynamic by using humor. Having a sense of humor. Finding a way to bring in that humor can help. And really allow yourself to again, the most important thing is that you do what you need to do for that self-care. Bottom line. And so the 3 principles, I'm going to do a review. The 3 principles are clearing, so that you're reducing your relationship stress. You're going and you're understanding what are the things that are creating the stress for you. Whether it's relationship stress or holiday stress or getting gift stress, whatever the stress is learning to understand what is being triggered for you. And so it's clearing the relationship stress. And then principle number 2 is going deeper into the clearing. It's being able to really understand on that deeper level, what is this issue that's being triggered? And then learning to make the deeper connection with the parts of you that will be really helpful to connect to, like your higher self and your soul. Again, your higher self is this wise, unconditionally loving part of you waiting to be asked for help. And so you can always ask for its help. All you do is say, help, higher self, help. And the third principle is being grateful and thanking and being so thankful for yourself and your qualities, acknowledging, appreciating, and really acknowledging and appreciating the people in your life, being grateful. And all of that will definitely help you with your self-care and reducing your relationship stress. Join me next week for more inspired and empowered living. We're live Tuesdays at 11 a.m. Eastern on w4wn.com and talk4tv.com. And I really want to thank you for being here and thank you for joining. You can listen to the podcast on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Pandora, and Apple. And I wish you all an inspired and empowered week and an inspired and empowered day. Have a great one, everybody. Goodbye for now.